double. Will not even respawn in time. Steph may well be forced to retreat now that Pastor Lover has respawned, and he is still vulnerable here. I think trying to stick. This is the horse's decay.
This is on delay as well. This is like they knew. Brand Oaks taking up Cloudy. They're gonna lots of.
Double. Will not even respawn in time. Steph may well be forced to retreat now that Pastor Lover has respawned, and he is still vulnerable here. I think trying to stick. This is the horse's decay.
This is on delay as well. This is like they knew. Brand Oaks taking up Cloudy. They're gonna lots of.
Double. Will not even respawn in time. Steph may well be forced to retreat now that Pastor Lover has respawned, and he is still vulnerable here. I think trying to stick. This is the horse's decay.
This is on delay as well. This is like they knew. Brand Oaks taking up Cloudy. They're gonna lots of.
double will not even respawn in time. Steph may well be forced to retreat now that Pasta Lover has respawned, and he is still vulnerable here. I think trying to stick.
This is
The horse is decayed.
This is on delay as well. It's like they knew Brand Ogs taking up Cloudy. They're gonna lots of
double will not even respawn in time. Steph may well be forced to retreat now that Pasta Lover has respawned, and he is still vulnerable here. I think trying to stick.
This is
The horse is decayed.
This is on delay as well. It's like they knew Brand Ogs taking up Cloudy. They're gonna lots of
double will not even respawn in time. Steph may well be forced to retreat now that Pasta Lover has respawned, and he is still vulnerable here. I think trying to stick.
This is
The horse is decayed.
This is on delay as well. It's like they knew Brand Ogs taking up Cloudy. They're gonna lots of
double kill. Oh, one to two ultimates. Will not even respawn in time. Steph may well be forced to retreat now that Pasta Lover has respawned, and he is still is vulnerable here. I think trying to stick.
This is
The horse is decayed.
This is on delay as well. This is like they knew. Brand Old's taking up Cloudy. They're gonna lots of.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to twitch.tv/Hive Esports Games for the second semi-final, week 8 of season 1 of the Hive Esports League of Legends series, or weekly Aram Mayhem 2v2 tournament that is now just a couple days from reaching its conclusion. As you see on your left-hand side, second semi-final is on the bill tonight, a best of 3 between second and third in the league phase, Grumpies versus Yowie Addicts recovering. So, two very, very strong teams will be taking each other on, and whoever wins this game will take on Nat and Joe in the final after a shock 2-0 sweep against the league phase winners, Seal 9. So, Newt Silver will be fighting to be a 2-time series champion, and of course, Slim Casey also looking for a first title, but Grumpies or Yowie Addicts will be standing in their way. As you see there on the league phase standings there from the end of week 6, Yowie Addicts do have the measure of Grumpies by 3 points. Is that a potential indicator for what we might see tonight?
Well, potentially, as we've mentioned already, both Yowie Addicts and Grumpies are really good competitors. And to be fair, one of those Grumpies games was with different people, a filled-in game, which I'm pretty sure was one of those really silly ones, if you remember, that Callista and Nico clip. But yeah, I think it's a pretty balanced game. I think it could go either way.
It definitely has all the hallmarks of a best of 3 game 7 moment potentially here tonight, but of course it's different. It's different from a best of 2. There will be no draws. There will be no best of 2. You both won one. Have a point each. So best of 3, it will be more of a test of endurance. They won't be used to a best of 3. They'll be familiar with best of 2s. And of course, if they get to the final, they have to contend with a best of 5 series. So that will be all the more difficult for these teams here. But just before we jump into the game, we've got a couple minutes spare. Shall we get some early, cheeky, whimsical predictions for what we might see here between Grumpies and Yowie Addicts?
Well, first of all, my hair is not very whimsical today. Like it's
Neither's
not.
mine.
It's just
having
not.
a bit of a mare.
No, I feel that. Hive Esports is every day is a bad hair day. But yeah, I think it could go 2-1, like we've mentioned before. However, I'm not entirely sure which way it's gonna go. Just because of the leaderboard, I'm gonna say Yowie Addicts might push that first place a little bit harder, but as we've seen in Aram Mayhems, Seal 9 were the strongest competitor versus Nat and Joe, who only just managed to get into that playoff. But Nat and Joe absolutely stormed Seal 9, so could go either way.
Absolutely could. That's what I was just thinking. A third versus fourth league phase where first and second, neither of them make it to the final, would definitely be something to see. Just shows how competitive this roster is. I think I would also say it's going to go 2-1. I don't think we're going to see a sweep just because of how close these teams are. And I'm pretty sure I think they did have a match, and I think that ended in a draw, if I'm not mistaken, yes. So that just shows how closely matched they are
even in a very RNG format like Aram Mayhem 2v2 is. So I think 2-1, but I'm going to go just to be a bit contrarian, and just because I think a third versus fourth final would be quite funny. Grompies, I think, will take the series.
Yeah, that would be quite funny. However, either way, I am sort of rooting for Nat and Joe, as we already know Nat has that B already, and I think that B needs a friend. And we're going to see who they play as we go into these games.
So this series decides who will take on Nat and Joe tomorrow in the finals of the Hive Esports League of Legends series. It's Grompies in the blue of Kitsune Maison and Impromptu, and Extra Thick and Yaoi Addict make up Yaoi Addicts, recovering in the red corner. They immediately descend on the center of the map, and it's immediately kicking off. A potential surprise attack there is going to get Yaoi Addict down to a third already. That Extra Thick tries to dive on Impromptu, but to no avail, and immediately big damage there is now going to give blue team all the impetus they need to advance, and just like that, it is 2-0 to Grompies right off the bat. Zed, as Kitsune Maison there, as Zed gets that first pick there. Impromptu quickly follows up as well. And Extra Thick and Yaoi Addict immediately put 2-0 down within a minute here.
Yeah, didn't even get to introduce the champions, but you seem to remember Zed, so that's pretty awesome. Yeah, we have Yaoi Addict here on Talia and Extra Thick here on Ambessa, who is going in to try jump on both Impromptu and Kitsune Maison, but already incredibly low health. But will Yaoi Addict be able to... No, just got bursted down. That was a really close Impromptu on Cassiopeia there. Just had no mana, but seemed to get it back quite quickly. But yeah, a really fast fight there, despite it being in favor of the Yaoi Addicts, as they had just come back from the recall. Just didn't make it. But yeah, Extra Thick on the Ambessa, gonna struggle a little bit against the Cassiopeia, who is being played by Impromptu, as Cassiopeia is really good at stopping dashes, which Ambessa is pretty much known for. But that Zed is also going to be able to jump on that Talia to get some big damage. So a pretty favorable game for Grompies.
And it does look to be that way. They've definitely taken the front foot here. 4-0 up inside 2 minutes here. Really taking it to Yaoi Addicts, not giving them an inch. As you see, 3 of those kills have come from Kitsune Maison there, as Zed Cassiopeia following up with the 1 kill as well. And Kitsune Maison now on a rampage, does however get shut down, but it's 6-1 now, 6-2 here, as they all trade blows, and they're all gonna sit in their shops now, getting all their augments. There is no one on the field currently. Extra Thick is the first to respawn, followed by teammate Yaoi Addict, as now Kitsune Maison and Impromptu follow suit. So some very quick respawn times here, but Grumpy still leading by 4 picks here. And immediately what I'm noticing is that they have a really strong CC. Even when they're low on health and they get dived by red team, they're immediately able to ground their opponent and just do oodles of damage. And there's not much that red team can really do about it.
Yeah, essentially. So when you see that like purple goop on the floor, that is miasma. That is Cassiopeia's W, and it grounds you, so you can't do any dashes while in it. And every time Ambessa casts an ability, she performs a little dash. So she's going to be unable to exert all of her pressure as she's going to be unable to get close without those dashes. However, with a well-timed ult, she might be able to jump on Cassiopeia while miasma is off cooldown. But yeah, unfortunately though, the Talia might be under fire from that Zed, as the Zed can blink, which won't be stopped by the Talia E.
Definitely. So still looking very much in favor of Grompies here, albeit Impromptu down to about half here, as that long-range chip damage from Yaoi Addicts sort of doing the job at keeping blue team at base somewhat. We're nearing 5 minutes here. Still no nexuses or turrets destroyed as of yet, but it's Grumpy showing themselves to be far more potent in team fighting situations, as again trying to engage that Cassiopeia from long range down to about a third here. So Impromptu getting somewhat peppered, really unable to jump in, potentially into a favorable position. So now this is the sort of point in the game, 5 minutes down, where the fighting's a bit more calmed down, everyone taking a bit more of a reserved approach now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Yaoi Addicts risk getting grounded by that Cassiopeia, so they're going to want to, like, get a bit of poke off. See, she has no miasma now, so it would be... well, actually, I don't know, because Cassiopeia has some pretty good sustain and CC with her ult as well, so even if she gets jumped on, she has the ability to counter it. However, with some supposedly strategic gameplay, if you look away from that Cassiopeia ult, she's not going to be able to stun you. So while it is a little bit favorable for Grompies with a little bit of communication and good gameplay, I think the Yaoi Addicts still have a little bit of a chance.
Essentially here, they need to break through that. I think there is a bit of champ diff here, but now Yaoi Addicts with some good damage on Impromptu as Cassiopeia, but does immediately get grounded. Now Extra Thick jumps in on both Kitsune Maison and Impromptu, doesn't get much out of it. Yaoi Addicts very, very low here, has to be careful not to get picked off here. Still, the score remains 6-2 with no turrets destroyed just yet. Yaoi Addicts perilously low on health, but able to just maintain a safe distance for now. And still, I see Grandma's Chili Oil helping heal Impromptu as Cassiopeia there. Still unable really to break through now. Our red team being so low on health now. Do they get grounded? And now Impromptu takes out Yaoi Addict. And Extra Thick may well be in trouble here. Does take out Impromptu. So 7-3. Now the score is a 1v1. And both teammates will respawn at almost the exact same time here. So they are just dancing around the first red turret. It's getting chip damaged by the minions here. Now Extra Thick needs to win this fight to relieve the pressure, but does not do so. Kitsune Maison is going to get the pick, but will get taken out by the turret unless he runs away, which he does. And Bessel almost takes out Kitsune Maison there from very long range. Able, though, to get away just in time.
Yeah, that was the Talia ult. It was essentially just a big rock wall to create some zoning or position her. I think Yaoi Addict tried to get on the Z, but that Cassiopeia was just behind, so it was a little bit too risky. But yeah, Impromptu getting caught under that turret while engaging on the Talia. Got him caught, however, he did get the kill, so it was a pretty nice trade. But yeah, that Grandma's Chili Oil gonna cause a few problems for the Yaoi Addicts. Ambessa trying to jump on that Cassiopeia, but Zed getting caught by that turret, getting taken out by Extra Thick there, leading a kill for the Yaoi Addicts, leaving them only 800 gold behind, despite being 4 kills down.
Yeah, Yaoi Addicts are doing really, really well here, actually, to minimize the damage here. Because Grompies really took the front foot, but actually they've managed to keep that gap not extending any more than 4. And now Impromptu CC'd here, may well get taken out. Does manage to take out Yaoi Addicts before going down himself. Now 9-5. But Extra Thick is the last man standing here. Of course, Kitsune Maison now jumping in here, trying to take out those minions that are doing some damage to blue team's first turret. In terms of turrets, this game looking about even, actually. And Yaoi Addicts definitely not rolling over just yet.
Yeah, Extra Thick there, waiting in the bush behind Kitsune Maison. Potentially trying to get a little sneak attack on there without him knowing. But the Eclipse Shield going to reduce a little bit of damage from Extra Thick there. But Talia coming up, trying to get the jump on the Zed, but only going to take about half of his health. But that could prove pretty substantial later when the Zed tries to go in for a dive. But Cassiopeia going in on Talia. They're going to get pretty good damage off on Talia, but she's going to burn to death. Unfortunately, the Ambessa is grounded, so unable to get any of those abilities off. Going to get that kill on Zed, but will be met by Cassiopeia, who doesn't have the ground, but just has a little bit more damage and sustain than the Ambessa, giving Grompies a kill, which is going to give them that turret.
Yeah, it's a huge, huge team fight win there. For Impromptu and Kitsune Maison here. Cassiopeia getting it done right at the end, and that will give Grompies the lead here. 1 turret to 0 here. And some free heals for Impromptu as well. So now a big step up, as you see. 1,500 gold, the difference now as Yaoi Addict does come back in as Talia. Unable to do much with it though. Waiting for Kitsune Maison and Yaoi Addict to re-enter the fray. Extra Thick, pardon me. To re-enter the fray, but immediate CC. But Yaoi Addict with a huge pick against Impromptu. Now, saves Yaoi Addict there. Now, Extra Thick pressuring Kitsune Maizon and may well be able to get a double kill here. It's certainly relieved the pressure away from blue territory here. Now, back in the middle, looking to retake a turret for themselves and even things back up here as they currently trail 1 turret to 0. But things now calming down again. We reached the 10-minute mark.
Yeah, Zed just trying to get a little bit of poke off on the Ambessa there. But unfortunately, if the Zed gets caught by that Ambessa, I fear it might be over. As Ambessa is a fighter, so she will be able to survive in that fight just a little bit longer than the Zed, as he is only an assassin. However, this Cassiopeia seems to be gunning for Talia, which seems to go a little bit both ways. If the Cassiopeia is able to land the CC on both of the Yaoi addicts, then it's a little bit detrimental for them, but both Cassiopeia and Talia have good poke. However, Cassiopeia has the sustain to be able to survive that poke a little bit more, so they really need to be able to focus on one of them to take them out.
Definitely, but now things starting to calm down just a little bit. Grompies know their position. They know that they're in a favorable spot here. They know that they're potentially 1 or 2 big team fights here from taking the lead in the series here and putting 1 foot in the door towards a spot in the finals to take on Nat and Joe. But right now, Yaoi Addict standing in their way and are not rolling over, but they're now pressuring that second turret big time here and are looking towards the inhibitor. But right now, they've got minions standing in their way that they need to dispose of first, which is going to give Extra Thick and Yaoi Addict some recuperation time and some time to potentially launch an attack of their own. But Yaoi Addict down to half is going to stunt their progress somewhat here with Kitsune Maizon and Impromptu close to full. But still, things not quite kicking off. No big dives just yet. No big long-range shots coming out at the moment here. And Kitsune Maizon now trying to catch them by surprise and does so. Impromptu with a big pick against Yaoi Addict. Now it's a 2 versus 1. Extra Thick may well be taken out here. Might get 1 pick. He's been doing well so far to usually get at least 1 pick out of these, but doesn't do so. He's going to take out Extra Thick here. It's now 14-7 here, and this may well be a second turret for Grompies.
Yeah, indeed. Just like that Cassiopeia ult only just managed to get Ambessa, but the Ambessa did put up a really good fight there. Survived for quite a while and almost managed to take out Impromptu there, but unfortunately due to the healing on Cassiopeia's E and that Grandma's chili oil, was just unable to sustain there. But Impromptu gonna survive being taken out by Talia there. Just a little bit too much sustain, but will Extra Thick be able to make it back and try to jump on this Zed, but risks getting grounded by Cassiopeia there. That Zed playing around that Miasma, but Extra Thick trying to look for something still. Now that Miasma is down, probably going to try and look to sandwich them as Yaoi Addict comes back in about 10 seconds. Gets grounded here, so unable to exert any pressure onto the Zed, but getting poked down slowly by the Cassiopeia. Gonna look for an engagement. The Cassiopeia ult stuns Extra Thick, and Extra Thick is gonna be taken out. Yaoi Addict coming back into the fray here, but gonna get grounded and CC'd a little bit too hard and unable to get a pick.
That is huge there from Grompies. That may well be the play that wins them this first match here, as they're going to go halfway through that first turret as well. 17 kills to 7 here. That first turret is destroyed, followed quickly by the second turret going down to half here. And Grompies may well have 1 foot in the door. Extra Thick and Yaoi Addict are going to respawn before this game is done, but do they have the time? Do they have any chance of stopping that Nexus from getting taken out? It's still getting chipped away here. They're going to take down Kitsune Maizon and Impromptu just in the nick of time. They are not dead yet. 17-9 on the kill board. They now have to do everything they can to stop this minion wave. Otherwise, any chip damage will take out the Nexus here. But they are still keeping a dog in the fight. They are just a hair away from losing this first match, but they are giving it everything they have got.
Yeah, an incredible engage from Extra Thick there. Just managed to pick off that one of them. I can't remember. It was like, it was so quick and it happened so fast, but I believe that Cassiopeia was almost about to get the Nexus, but it survived on about 2 health, but yeah, as we saw there, Zed buying that Yumu's Ghostblade, looking to get that rush down and try get behind the Yaoi Addicts. But Extra Thick getting grounded and stunned, but Yaoi Addict getting jumped on by the Zed. But Zed is going to take just about as much damage, but Zed with no ult here. Cassiopeia also with no ult, going to leave a lot of opportunity for the Yaoi Addicts to make a comeback here, but both Yaoi Addicts on about half health, but also the Grumpies also on about half health. I think I said also about 3 times there. But the Talia are going to get quite some nice poke damage off. Extra Thick just looking for a little engage there. Ultimate up, looking to catch someone off guard. But Yaoi Addict just trying to fend off that minion wave. Extra Thick goes on to the engage for the Cassiopeia, but doesn't catch them. Cassiopeia flashes away, but has no miasma for now. So Yaoi Addicts might have a chance here.
They're definitely not dead yet. Opportunities are aplenty here for Yaoi Addicts here as Impromptu getting just a little bit of healing here, courtesy of Grandma's Chiliog. Tsunume's on as well here. But now they're being pressured back into their own territory here, trying to stop the blue minion wave from taking out their Nexus. They have to be super protective there, as they potentially, if things really go wrong, could lose this game without even realizing it if a couple of those minions do sneak through here. But now Extra Thick back up to full here. There could be an opportunity for an engage here, and I do think Extra Thick and Yaoi Addict have to put themselves somewhat on the front foot here to take anything away or take anything out of this first match if they are to mount any sort of comeback here, as they still teeter on a knife's edge here. Yaoi Addict very, very low. Now retreating back. Kitsune Maison does take out Yaoi Addict. So despite that Nexus now getting healed, Extra Thick is going to have to retreat here. But match 1 will go to Grompies, 18-9. They finally take out the Nexus. Yaoi Addicts put up a fight, but they go on the back foot, 1-0 in the series. And it's advantage Grompies with 1 foot in the door towards the finals.
Yeah, an incredible game from both teams, to be fair. Unfortunately, that Cassiopeia did just have that little bit more power and counter to Ambessa, so she was unable to fully exert her power and pressure due to being unable to dash. However, I think both teams were pretty balanced. The Cassiopeia and the Talia were both back and forwards trying to get that poke off on each other, but due to Cassiopeia inbuilt healing and that Grandma's Chili Oil, they just had a bit more sustain to survive the poke from Talia, and then when the Ambessa tried to engage, they just had too much sustain. But yeah, incredible gameplay from both teams.
Definitely, and of course, Yaoi Addicts, they're going to be disappointed with that. They definitely put up a good fight towards the mid and late game there. As you know, they preserved their Nexus on just a slither of health to keep themselves in it. Eventually, they unfortunately couldn't. But obviously, if you are Yaoi Addict or Extra Thick, where do you go back to the drawing board here to try and take this to game 3? Because right now they have their backs against the wall a little bit. Of course, best of 3. If you lose one, you're immediately up against it.
Yeah, honestly, the only thing I can think of at the moment is just bringing the Whimsy. I think Whimsy is the only thing that can save people in this competition, unfortunately. I mean, look at Nat and Joe. But, I mean, they played well. I mean, nothing about their performance was bad, per se. It was just incredibly unlucky. But, yeah, slightly teetered on the edge of the Grumpies from the start because of that early kill. So, just had a bit more gold. So, just fell a little bit behind towards that mid to late game.
Definitely looks like taking the early advantage. It is what has been most profitable for these teams here. So do we think potentially this goes to game 3? Or do we think Grompies might take this in a 2-0 sweep? Of course, we both predicted a 2-1. So I suppose we're both kind of predicting that Yaoi Addicts would potentially take the second match. But after seeing that first match and how strong Grompies were, particularly in terms of their team fighting, being able to get that gold, do we think that maybe this might be another clean sweep like the other side of the bracket was?
Honestly, unsure. Again, both teams played really well. Unfortunately, again, due to that slightly early loss for the Yaoi Addicts, they weren't able to fully come back. Again, Ambessa isn't a great early game champion, so when she needs those items to get ahead, but again, unfortunately, due to the healing from the Grumpies, Yaoi Addicts were just slightly unable to make a comeback there. But yeah, I still think it could be a 2-1 towards Yaoi Addicts. But they are under a lot of pressure now, as Grompies did win that first game.
Yeah, definitely. They've got it all to do here, and we'll have to wait and see. In just a few moments' time, we'll be jumping into the game. Whether or not Yaoi Addicts can make diamonds under that pressure and be able to take this to game 3.
If they make diamonds, because we were the pressure and they sell the diamonds, do we get a cut on the profit?
Logically, that makes sense that we would. So
I
I
was
hope
gonna
so.
say.
I do hope so.
Anyways, speaking of Yaoi Addicts, their player cards. Sorry, I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to bring
We
that
love
up.
that.
Yaoi Addicts. Yeah. Unfortunately, I am incredibly tired at the moment, so I didn't fully finish their history. But I believe in their game 3 against Grompies, it was a 1-1. So we could be looking at another 1-1 situation right now. And I can't fully remember who their game 4 was.
I believe they took on Ultimus. They would have taken on Ultimus.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
They won
did.
that 2-0 as a result of an Ultimus forfeit. Hence, they finished on 8 points and took second place in the league phase. So that would be why they find themselves quite high up. Of course, they were one of the teams.
No, sorry to correct you.
Yeah?
They played Nat and Joe, and because
Oh,
Ultimus had to
yeah.
FF, they only played one game. But to be
Yes,
fair,
you're right. You're so right.
they only played one game. But yeah, they did lose that game. But yeah. However, Whimsy level 8. Do we still think they deserve that Whimsy level 8, or are we bringing it up or down, or what are we thinking about that?
I mean, I'm not sure. They are inconsistent, as the player god does say. Either incredible players. We did see some really, really good engages from them.
True. Very true.
Mind you, not many silly plays or brain farts as such from Yaoi Addicts. So I'm not sure. But they're working well. So I would say, just by how well they're performing, I think the Whimsy score is accurate.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to match the Nat and Joe Whimsy.
No,
They're pure
absolutely
whimsy.
not.
They're pure
Absolutely
whimsy.
not. They are fueled by whimsy. Hopefully, this whimsy can fuel them in this next game. So yeah, hopefully they get carried by the whimsy.
That is the plan for Yaoi Addicts here to try and bring this back to level pegging here. Kitsune Maizon and Impromptu in the blue corner again for Grompies, Extra Thick and Yaoi Addict make up Yaoi Addicts recovering in the red corner. It is currently 1-0 in the series to Grompies. One more win and they will take on Nat and Joe in the finals tomorrow for the Hive Esports League of Legends Series Championships. So, while we do have a bit of downtime, a far cry difference from how Game 1 went, let's take this quiet time to introduce everybody's champions.
Well, on the Yaoi Addicts, we have Yaoi Addict on Morgana. Incredible CC and range damage. Gonna get quite chipped by Misfortune there with the Extra Thick on Hecarim looking for an engage. Kitsune Maizon on Tryndamere looking to jump on Yaoi Addict and just gonna get them in the end, but Extra Thick unable to do much about it, unfortunately. But yeah, Tryndamere is an incredibly good champion in ARAM, to be fair, but is also really good in the early game. As the lower health he has, the stronger he gets. He gains more attack speed and he gains more crit damage, so he's just going to be outputting lots of damage with those auto attacks. Morgana has incredibly good CC, but as you see there, the CC immune. In Aram Mayhem, if you're CC'd for too long, you will gain resistance to CC. So it could prove useful in slowing down the Tryndamere's advance and just trying to poke him out from afar. However, Tryndamere also has his ultimate, which stops him from dying, which could prove incredibly useful at literally every point in the game.
Potential then for some creative freedom with these champions here. So Tryndamere potentially strong if Kitsune Maizon finds himself on the wrong end of an engagement, but right now at full health. Misfortune there at just over half. But definitely a far more composed start to the second match than what we saw in match number 1, though we do sit right on red territory here, potentially looking for some chip damage on the first turret here, as the fire continues to rain down here, but no target met, as we just reached 3 minutes. I think this time last match, I think it was about 4-2 to Grompies. Now it's simply 1-0 with a very, very choice pick there on Extra Thick there by Kitsune Maizon. I believe it was to make it 1-0 and give them a gold advantage of around 500, which of course will come in handy eventually when they do get the opportunity to buy some augments. But right now, just a very low-key start to proceedings here. I think Grompies trying to protect the situation that they're in. Extra Thick, though, will get a very, very, very strong pick on Impromptu, and now Kitsune Maizon CC'd. But Yaoi Addict and Extra Thick retreating now. Impromptu beginning to make some augment purchases, but now that does level things up completely between Yaoi Addicts and Grompies here. Can Kitsune Maizon do anything in this 2v1? Yaoi Addicts very, very low, but Kitsune Maizon rooted yet again, but now does become CC immune for a short period of time. And that engagement quickly pieces out. Now just 1-1, but I think blue team are going to start having eyes on that first turret, down to just over a third of its health, or 2/3 of its health, I should say. Yaoi Addict's quite low as well. This could be a good opportunity for Grompies to engage.
Yeah. Grompies do have quite good engage. However, that Hecarim can just run past that Tryndamere and jump on the Misfortune, creating just enough space to take out the Misfortune. As we see here, jumping and fearing the Misfortune, but the Misfortune is just going to take the portal to run away. The Morgana CC stopping Tryndamere, but getting caught out by that Misfortune ult. Misfortune going to go in on Extra Thick while under turret. Will get executed by the turret. Was almost unsure about that then, but yeah, a somewhat even game, but now getting quite a big advantage from that turret kill by Grompies. Yeah.
That is huge there for Grompies to again put themselves on the front foot. It's a similar story to what we saw in match 1. Kitsune Maizon getting the final hit on that first turret to just advance deeper into red territory here. Now 1-0 to Grompies, and now that road to the final becomes ever clearer here. But Yaoi Addict still not down and out yet. They're down 1,000 gold, they're down a kill, they're down a turret, but they do still have some very, very strong champions and some very strong engage here if they can get it right. Now jumping on Tryndamere here, down to just over half, but Kitsune Maizon gets jumped on again here. Misfortune unable to do much here as Extra Thick going to be spell immune there. So nothing will be working on him. Sent airborne now, it's Kitsune Maizon and rooted. All types of CC. Yaoi Addict taken out. Kitsune Maizon on completely 1 HP though. Does go undying there for a little while. Just on a slither of health, but does get shut down. It will be a double kill almost there. And now a double kill for Misfortune indeed. Or for Misfortune, sorry, for Extra Thick there. So that is 4 all for Extra Thick as Hecarim. So now that evens things up almost on goal, but of course Grompies do hold that crucial 1 turret advantage.
Yeah, despite Grompies having incredibly high damage, due to their lack of range, Hecarim is constantly able to heal off them due to that vampirism augment that is so infamous on Hive Esports. Essentially, vampirism just gives you 25% healing on all the damage you deal. Misfortune going to get pushed into the Morgana there by that fear from Extra Thick, and it looks like they're making a comeback already. The Tryndamere not going to have that undying yet, as he's already used it. It's going to give the Yaoi Addicts quite a big opportunity to push here.
That is a huge, huge pick there on the Misfortune there for Yaoi Addicts. They now will push onto that first turret, and they will tie things up here in that first match, and surely now will take down Kitsune Maizon, pressured 2 versus 1 now, and will get taken down courtesy of the Hecarim, who is on a rampage, is unstoppable. And the question mark in chat there from Extra Thick. Harkening back to the early stages of the first game where Impromptu dropped a little question mark there.
Yeah.
So a bit of a gamesmanship back and forth here. It is now advantage Yowie Addicts here. It's 1-all on the turret, 6-4 on the kill score, and they are now about 700 gold richer than Impromptu and Kitsune Maison. So they have really turned this game on its head. It's not over by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, Kitsune Maison looking for an engage on Extra Thick here. Extra Thick just healing a little bit more, but Tryndamere with Scopious weapons might just be able to avoid that range from the Hecarim Q, but the Misfortune ult just catching the Morgana there, unable to walk left or right due to the wall and the turret. So an incredibly well-positioned ult from the Misfortune, going to give them an opportunity to push. However, Extra Thick is still alive, and we've seen him do that 1v2 before, so potentially going to be able to do it again. Especially now that that ultimate is almost up, going to heal quite a bit from those minions. However, will get outranged by Misfortune and Tryndamere, so going to be under heavy poke.
Yeah, a lot of long-range damage here for Grompies on Extra Thick, but now Yowie Addict entering the fray, able to peter out most of that pressure here and try and maintain what advantage they still do have here, as Hecarim goes unstoppable against Impromptu, trying to back him into a corner. Almost gets it done there. Impromptu has to escape via the portal there. Now Kitsune Maison tries to jump on Extra Thick and Yowie Addict, but to no avail, gets rooted there, giving Extra Thick and Yowie Addict the opportunity to just retreat somewhat and take some retreat here. But still, no reprieve here from Kitsune Maison now, who does get CC'd and sent airborne now. Back down to very low HP. Kitsune Maison, though, does take out Yowie Addict, undying now on just a slither of health. And now Impromptu, as Misfortune, takes out Extra Thick, although the turret does then take out Kitsune Maison there. So 7-7 now is the score. Impromptu may well get taken out by the turret, but not before a little bit of chip damage is done here. Still some time before Extra Thick and Yowie Addict will respawn. That red turret is losing health quite rapidly.
Yeah, Impromptu going for the X there. Just taking about half of that turret's HP, but it was a really uncomfortable situation for the Yowie Addicts. They were pretty low, and they couldn't really engage properly on the Grompies. Sorry, I almost forgot their name for a second. On the Grompies, due to them being so low health. However, they do have that sustain, but the Grompies do have quite a bit of range damage. However, now that they are both back, they should maybe possibly able to get quite a bit of damage off on the Grompies. However, all they're going to be able to do really is push these waves, as an engage might not work out properly. A Misfortune ult there, taking quite a bit of damage from both Yowie Addict and Extra Thick, but Extra Thick looking for a bit of damage on the Tryndamere, but Tryndamere coming back, taking quite a bit of damage from Misfortune from afar. Snowballing onto the Misfortune, who snowballs away onto the minions. Heals just about enough to survive, but cannot take out Kitsune Maison, but Kitsune Maison gets taken out by the Morgana Q from afar. Oh my god.
It's all happening at once here in Game 2. Yowie Addict fighting still to keep themselves in it. Grompies trying to become the aggressors here and put this match very much to bed here. It's now a 1v1 Impromptu versus Yowie Addict here. Kitsune Maison and Extra Thick still some seconds away from re-entering the fray here, so it's now a very reserved 1v1 here. Long range here between Misfortune and Morgana. While they wait for their teammates to jump in, Kitsune Maison first on the scene here, followed quickly by Extra Thick in just a few moments' time. But Yowie Addict is taken out by Kitsune Maison, and that may well be all the impetus they need to start to push deeper into blue territory and potentially retake the lead here. 2-1. Extra Thick is there standing guard, and they will now meet just by the second turret. This is a crucial moment now in this match here. Kitsune Maison may well get taken out by the turret here. Extra Thick, though, super low, and they will take out Yowie Addicts once again here. And now that second turret will belong to Grompies. They'll take the inhibitor as well, potentially, albeit the minions will stand in their way. Yowie Addict jumps on the second turret and immediately onto Impromptu, but immediately taken out again. Grompies using these 2v1s to their advantage. The inhibitor now destroyed, and they're going to immediately start pressuring the final turrets to put Yowie Addicts in that position once again. Yowie Addict isn't going to have any chance of respawning in time. Extra Thick will have to try and stop them here. Does go unstoppable as Hecarim just to buy Yowie Addict some time to respawn. Misfortune ults on Extra Thick, gets him down to 1. Kitsune Maison takes down Extra Thick. Now Yowie Addict is going to need to jump in to stop this attack. And I think Yowie Addicts, again, are just going to have one more opportunity to potentially salvage something from this game. But they are right on a knife edge now.
Yeah, that minion wave just taking a second to come in for the Grompies, giving the Yowie Addicts a little bit of time to defend that turret. But unfortunately, that minion wave is just going to survive long enough. But Yowie Addict popping that Zhonya's, hopefully the turret. No, the turret does not kill the Tryndamere, who has his ult in a very brief period of time. But they're going to get that kill on the Tryndamere. But Misfortune also taken down, but also the Yowie Addict or Morgana will also, I've said also too many times, taken out. Actually, I think going to have this chance to push the wave, but due to those super minions, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But yeah, the Tryndamere range of just being able to output so much damage on so low health, but also having incredible amounts of sustain and being able to survive on essentially 0 health due to his ultimate, it's a really difficult one for the Yowie Addicts.
Yeah, definitely. They are still, though, fighting here. They've got just the Nexus left here. It will heal up probably to around about full HP by the time Impromptu Kitsune Maison can do anything about it here. And they will run over towards the middle of the lane here, where they will meet Extra Thick. Yowie Addict as well will be in tow, as Yowie Addicts recovering are going to go for one more push here to try and take this game back. They have taken down one of Grumpy's turrets here, but they need to take down another turret, the inhibitor, and then the 2 turrets and the Nexus to take this game back. But just one wrong move and it will be over, and it will be Grumpy's booking their ticket to the final of the Hive Esports League of Legends series. So they have to play carefully. Grumpy's becoming the aggressors here. Extra Thick responds in kind here. Fleeing is Impromptu, but Extra Thick is taken out by Impromptu. Now Yowie Addict in a 2v1. Morgana is taken down. Not before slaying Misfortune there. But Tryndamere does get the final pick there. And now we'll run through the minions and we'll run over to the Nexus to secure a spot in the finals for Grompies here. Kitsune Maison begins to attack the Nexus. No one will respawn in time. Welcome to the finals. Grompies with a clean 2-0 sweep against Yowie Addicts recovering. It will be Nat and Joe versus Grompies in the finals tomorrow. And that is the build-up towards what should be a blockbuster final tomorrow.
Yeah, some incredible gameplay from both teams. For a moment, it did really look like Yowie Addicts could have made it. But unfortunately, the Grompies were just a little bit stronger. But yeah, that will be Grompies versus Nat and Joe in that final tomorrow. That will also be at 7 p.m. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely an intense end to the playoffs here that has seen the top 2 teams knocked out really in some shocking fashion, to see Seal9 and Yowie Addicts both fall at the final hurdle here before the finals here. So there is the bracket. Grompies will fill that lower bracket of the final alongside Nat and Joe. It'll be a best of 5, and whoever wins that will be Hive Esports League of Legends Series champions. So I think this could potentially be one of the best finals we have, considering neither of the top 2 teams are in it. This could be anyone's game.
Yeah, it's quite funny how that's worked out, to be fair. But yeah, the point system was just there to determine who would get into the playoff phase. So yeah, the whimsy and randomness of Aram Mayhem. However, that will be everything for today. We hope to see you tomorrow. So goodbye, and we will see you soon.
Has respawned, and he is still vulnerable here. I think trying to stick.